Carol Burnett, adored by American audiences for her warmth, charm, and uniquely sharp sense of humor, had spent decades crafting an image of poise and grace that few could ever question. From her earliest days in Hollywood, she was seen as the embodiment of kindness, a gentle force whose laughter could fill a room and whose presence brought comfort and joy. Yet behind that enduring smile, a quieter, more resilient figure had been quietly navigating the turbulent waters of fame, betrayal, and personal disappointment. At 90, in a rare conversation with Rolling Stone magazine, Burnett opened a window into the side of her life few had glimpsed, a side marked by deeply personal conflicts with men who had shaped, challenged, and sometimes betrayed her. Among the most notable of these was Harvey Corman, long considered her closest on-screen partner. Together, they had defined The Carol Burnett Show, a program that dominated the airwaves of 1970s television. Their synchronization on stage was nearly perfect. Audiences believed they were destined to share every joke, every sketch, every moment of triumph. Burnett's warmth complemented Corman's comic timing, and together they created a laughter that seemed effortless. Yet beneath the applause, tensions simmered. Corman's irritation grew in the shadows of Burnett's rising fame. Costumes designer Bob Mackie recalled Corman becoming increasingly short-tempered and distant, a quiet storm brewing behind the scenes. By 1974, at the height of the show's success with its fourth Emmy in hand, this storm was ready to erupt. The breaking point arrived unexpectedly during a rehearsal at Studio 33, Television City in Los Angeles. A lighting error left Corman's face in shadow during a segment with singer Petula Clark. His immediate reaction was explosive. He threw his script, shouted at the crew, and insinuated that Burnett herself was indifferent to the problem. In that charged silence, Carol Burnett, known for her steady composure, rose from the audience. She walked onto the stage and addressed him calmly but firmly. "Harvey, I've had enough. If you can't respect everyone here, then you don't need to be here at all." Her voice, though soft, carried a command that silenced the entire studio. Corman left without a word, and Burnett sat in quiet contemplation, her gaze fixed on his empty chair, the weight of disappointment and frustration settling over her. The incident, later known as the Studio 33 scandal, became one of the most talked-about moments in television history. The headlines ran wild, but Carol Burnett remained professional, choosing not to escalate the drama publicly. Harvey Corman would eventually apologize, returning to work alongside her, but the dynamic between them was forever altered. This early confrontation was not merely about a rehearsal gone wrong. It revealed Burnett's core philosophy. Respect and trust mattered more than personal attachment, and no one, not even a close colleague, could cross boundaries without consequences. This first breach in trust marked a turning point for Burnett, who began to navigate her career with a new level of caution. She maintained her warmth and humor on screen, but privately, she grew more discerning about whom she allowed close. Her life, already a delicate balance of public admiration and personal sacrifice, would continue to be tested by those who underestimated the strength behind her smile. The triumph of the Carol Burnett Show in the 1970s brought laughter to millions, but behind the sparkling stage lights and the roar of applause lay a world of tension, fragile trust, and personal heartbreak. While Burnett had navigated the often ruthless entertainment industry with grace and professionalism, she was not immune to the betrayals of those closest to her, the very people who should have shared in her success and celebrated it. Among them, her husband and creative partner, Joe Hamilton, played a particularly complex role, a man who had been both the cornerstone of her career and, ultimately, a source of profound personal disappointment. Burnett and Hamilton met in the early 1960s during a taping of a television show in New York. Hamilton, 10 years her senior, was already an established producer, experienced in the fast-paced world of variety television. Burnett, young, ambitious, and gifted with an instinct for comedy, was drawn to his confidence and creative vision. Their personal connection blossomed quickly, and within 3 years, they were married in a small, intimate ceremony in California. Professionally, Hamilton became her anchor, guiding and shaping the Carol Burnett show when it launched in 1967. Over the next 4 years, the two developed what seemed to be an unshakable partnership. Burnett's warmth and charisma were complemented by Hamilton's meticulous organizational skills, creating a synergy that propelled the show to its peak popularity. Together, they crafted sketches that became timeless, developed characters beloved by the public, and brought home multiple Emmy Awards. Yet even in moments of brilliance, cracks were beginning to appear. By 1975, Hamilton's control over the production grew increasingly strict. He insisted on approving guest lists and scripts, sometimes before Burnett had even seen them. He attempted to trim or remove emotionally resonant segments in favor of pure comedy, arguing that the audience wanted laughs above all else. For Burnett, who believed in a balance between humor and humanity, this approach was troubling. She argued that audiences deserved both laughter and heart, and while she acquiesced occasionally for the sake of smooth production, a quiet tension started to grow between them. The strain became more pronounced as rumors of Hamilton's personal life surfaced. By the late 1970s, whispers about a private relationship with a young CBS editor began circulating. Although Burnett did not confront him directly at first, the knowledge that her husband was entangled elsewhere inflicted a deep emotional wound. Her friend, Vicki Lawrence, later recounted how Burnett was devastated when she accidentally overheard colleagues discussing the overly familiar closeness between Hamilton and the young editor. These whispers eroded the foundation of trust that had sustained both their marriage and professional partnership for years. The final rupture came in 1982, when Burnett's lawyer discovered that Hamilton had created Hamilton Productions in Beverly Hills and registered multiple side projects from the Carol Burnett show under his name. Among them was Mama's Family, derived from a sketch that Burnett herself had conceived. Shocked by the unilateral appropriation of her creative property, Burnett confronted Hamilton directly in his CBS office. She remained composed, her voice steady as she asked, "Do you think it's fair to turn what we built together into your personal property?" His cold reply, "This is business, Carol. It's not personal," delivered a devastating emotional blow. This breach of trust was the tipping point. On March 3, 1983, Carol Burnett filed for divorce in Los Angeles County Superior Court, initiating one of the most high-profile legal battles of her career. Hamilton demanded full rights to production profits from the Carol Burnett show and associated projects. Burnett, fiercely protective of her legacy, fought to retain her name and half of the revenues. The courtroom drama played out over nearly a year, attracting reporters from People, Variety, and USA Today, who camped outside the courthouse daily. Inside, Burnett maintained her calm and professionalism, refusing to let the public spectacle alter her behavior. In June of 1984, the court ruled in Burnett's favor. She retained rights to the show's title, while Hamilton was granted 40% of broadcast profits. The decision represented more than a legal victory. It was a personal affirmation of her resilience and determination to protect her creative work. Yet even with the legal battle resolved, the emotional scars remained. She severed all ties with Hamilton's subsequent projects, refusing to endorse shows he produced after their separation. When Hamilton passed away from heart disease in 1991, Burnett did not attend the funeral, instead sending a bouquet of white flowers accompanied by a brief note. "Be at peace, Joe, and I will keep moving forward." Through this difficult period, Burnett emerged not just as a comedic genius, but as a figure of profound strength and discipline. The betrayals she endured reshaped her understanding of trust, loyalty, and boundaries in both her personal life and professional career. She learned that even the closest collaborators could fail to honor commitments, that love alone was insufficient in the volatile world of show business, and that protecting one's creative legacy required vigilance, courage, and, at times, painful confrontation. This chapter of her life highlighted the intricate balance between public acclaim and private vulnerability, a theme that would echo throughout her decades-long career and define her enduring legacy in Hollywood. While Carol Burnett had endured the upheaval caused by Harvey Corman and Joe Hamilton, her journey through Hollywood was far from over. Even as she continued to command the stage and bring joy to millions, other encounters tested her patience, her professionalism, and her understanding of personal boundaries. These incidents revealed not only the precarious nature of celebrity, but also the necessity of self-preservation in an industry where charm, talent, and kindness did not always guarantee respect. One of the most disquieting experiences involved Marlon Brando, a man whose talent was legendary, whose presence in cinema was magnetic, but whose personal conduct could be unervingly invasive. The episode unfolded on a summer night in July 1972, when Los Angeles lay quiet under the dim glow of streetlights. At 3 a.m., Carol's phone rang sharply, awakening her from sleep. Initially, she assumed an emergency at the studio, but the deep, unmistakable voice on the line quickly shattered that assumption. It was Brando. At first, Burnett suspected a prank, yet as he spoke, she realized the call was genuine. Brando discussed the Carol Burnett show, complimenting her work and the impact of her performances. At first, his tone seemed courteous, even inspiring, as he expressed admiration for her skill and advocated for more women in television comedy. However, as the conversation stretched past half an hour, his remarks began to tread uncomfortable ground. He grew slower, softer, his words shifting from professional praise to personal commentary. Burnett, recognizing the subtle encroachment on her privacy and her emotional space, intervened with polite firmness, reminding him of the late hour and the demands of her schedule. "Mr. Brando, I appreciate your kindness, but it's very late. I have to work early tomorrow," she said, ending the call. Despite her measured response, the repercussions were immediate. Hollywood buzzed with gossip. The Hollywood Reporter and Los Angeles Herald-Examiner ran stories highlighting the unusual nature of the call, and rumor columns speculated on the personal tone Brando had taken. Burnett, frustrated by the public intrusion into what had been a private moment, demanded her public relations team quash the rumors. She was determined to preserve her dignity, refusing to let the conversation compromise her professionalism or her reputation. From that night forward, she became vigilant about setting boundaries, a practice that would guide her interactions in the decades to come. Around the same era, another conflict surfaced, this time a public gala. Cary Grant, a peer from Hollywood's golden era, openly mocked Burnett's down-to-earth comedic style during an awards ceremony at the Beverly Hilton. The event gathered some of the industry's most illustrious figures, including Lucille Ball, Elizabeth Taylor, and Jack Lemmon. As Burnett approached Grant to offer congratulations, Grant's sarcastic remark, dismissing Burnett's style as overly exaggerated and unrefined, was a public affront. Burnett, known for her calm and measured demeanor, responded without raising her voice. "Maybe people prefer laughing with someone real rather than with perfection." Her words, subtle yet pointed, silenced the room and reflected a mastery of both wit and poise. Grant stood frozen, confronted with the quiet authority of a woman whose career had been built on authenticity and skill. While Burnett avoided further confrontation, she internally cataloged the incident as another lesson in navigating the often treacherous social landscape of Hollywood. Perhaps the most prolonged and confounding professional slight came from Lorne Michaels, the producer of Saturday Night Live. Despite Burnett's towering influence in television comedy and the widespread acclaim of her show, she was repeatedly overlooked for hosting opportunities on SNL. Industry insiders speculated that Michaels, intent on crafting a new, edgier era of comedy, perceived Burnett's warm, empathetic style as incompatible with the program's emerging identity. Even when her name was considered for the second season and for special anniversary events, Michaels reportedly vetoed her inclusion, framing her work as belonging to a bygone era of television. For decades, Burnett maintained her dignity in silence, never publicly demanding recognition, but quietly observing the pattern of exclusion. The public eventually rallied behind her, particularly as awareness of the oversight grew. In later years, Campaigns such as the hashtag #InviteCarol to SNL reflected widespread recognition of the injustice and admiration for her perseverance. Through these experiences, with Brando, Grant, and Michaels, Burnett learned the critical importance of protecting her boundaries, asserting her self-worth, and maintaining control over her professional trajectory. By the conclusion of these trials, Burnett had emerged as a figure of remarkable resilience. Each encounter tested her ability to balance grace, strength, and self-preservation. She understood that talent alone was insufficient in a competitive, often capricious industry, and that personal boundaries were as crucial as comedic skill. The lessons she extracted from these encounters shaped not only her approach to work, but also the way she navigated relationships, managed conflict, and ultimately safeguarded the legacy of a career that continues to inspire generations of performers. As Carol Burnett's career continued to flourish, the public saw only the laughter, the effortless charm, and the warmth she brought to her performances. Behind the curtain, however, she confronted the subtle yet persistent challenges of fame. Challenges that tested her resilience and forced her to fight for recognition in an industry that often undervalued the contributions of women. The successes that made her a household name also made her a target of envy, exclusion, and deliberate professional obstruction. One of the most striking examples of this struggle was her prolonged exclusion from Saturday Night Live, an omission that would echo through decades of her career. In 1975, when SNL premiered its first season live from Studio 8H at Rockefeller Plaza, Burnett was at the pinnacle of her influence. The Carol Burnett show on CBS dominated ratings, and she had already established herself as a comedic trailblazer whose humor combined empathy, intelligence, and relatability. Her show's sketches were character-driven, allowing audiences to see themselves in the characters she portrayed, whether as housewives, seamstresses, or ordinary people with rich inner lives. Despite this prominence, Burnett's style clashed with the emerging aesthetic that SNL's creator, Lorne Michaels, sought to cultivate: edgy, politically charged, and irreverent comedy that leaned heavily on youthful rebellion. Industry insiders reveal that Burnett's name was indeed floated as a potential host, particularly in the early years when the show was seeking to bridge generational gaps in comedy. Editors and producers suggested her for the second season in 1976, recognizing her ability to unite viewers across age groups. Michaels, however, reportedly blocked the proposal, arguing that Burnett's style did not align with the new vision he wanted for the show. He reportedly referred to her as the face of old television, a comment that underscored his perception of her work as belonging to a previous era and not compatible with SNL's emerging identity. For decades, this professional snub remained unexplained publicly, leaving Burnett excluded from a platform that might have celebrated her talent further. The consequences of this exclusion extended beyond mere missed appearances. In a field where visibility equated to opportunity, being denied a high-profile hosting role reinforced a systemic undervaluing of Burnett's contributions. While the network eventually offered official explanations that hosting decisions were based on content and tone of the season, insiders recognized that Burnett's omission was not accidental. She quietly bore the slight, maintaining professionalism and refraining from public complaint, though privately it served as another lesson in the importance of self-advocacy and strategic career management. This pattern of exclusion mirrored the broader experiences Burnett had endured throughout her career. From the confrontation with Harvey Corman, to the betrayal by Joe Hamilton in their personal and professional partnership, to the uncomfortable encounter with Marlon Brando, she learned that the world of entertainment often demanded vigilance, discernment, and emotional fortitude. Even casual dismissals or slights, like those she received from Cary Grant at the Beverly Hilton, required careful navigation. Burnett mastered the art of responding with measured grace, allowing her composure to speak louder than any reactionary words might. Despite these challenges, Burnett's influence on television comedy remained undeniable. She continued to produce sketches and characters that resonated deeply with viewers, winning 3 consecutive Emmy Awards and earning recognition from TV Guide as one of the greatest programs in American television history. Her commitment to humanistic humor, grounded in empathy, authenticity, and relatability, set a standard that distinguished her from many contemporaries. These achievements, earned amid the quiet struggles of exclusion, professional jealousy, and personal betrayals, highlighted her remarkable resilience and discipline. Ultimately, the cost of fame in Hollywood was not only measured in the public's attention, but also in the personal sacrifices and emotional endurance required to maintain integrity. Burnett's career illustrates the precarious balance between professional success and personal dignity. Each confrontation, slight, and betrayal shaped her understanding of the industry, teaching her that while talent could open doors, survival required a steadfast commitment to one's principles and an unwavering insistence on respect. By navigating these challenges with intelligence and poise, Burnett not only protected her creative legacy, but also set an enduring example for future generations of performers, showing that resilience, dignity, and determination are as vital to a career as skill or charm. In the midst of laughter, applause, and accolades, Carol Burnett's journey was marked by a series of personal and professional battles that tested her trust, her patience, and her sense of self. Yet through each trial, she emerged not diminished but fortified, proving that the true measure of a comedic legend lies as much in how she navigates adversity as in the joy she delivers to audiences. Her story is a testament to the complex interplay of talent, human connection, and the courage it takes to stand firm in an industry that rarely forgives vulnerability. While the public celebrated Carol Burnett for her infectious laughter and unshakable charm, her personal and professional life was a battlefield of unseen conflicts. Beyond the stage, Burnett faced repeated challenges from colleagues, superiors, and peers whose ambitions or insecurities often collided with her own. The very qualities that made her beloved, her warmth, her empathy, her authenticity, sometimes rendered her a target in an industry dominated by ego, competition, and power dynamics. In this chapter of her life, Burnett confronted individuals whose actions tested her patience, her judgment, and her commitment to integrity. One of the most enduring tensions in Burnett's career was with Cary Grant, a fellow performer from Hollywood's established circles. Their clash occurred at the Beverly Hilton during an awards gala in 1968. Burnett, radiant in a crimson gown, approached Grant to extend congratulations following a lifetime achievement recognition. Instead of reciprocating with warmth, Grant made a dismissive, sarcastic remark, belittling Burnett's comedic style as overly simplistic, almost crude, compared to the refined humor of earlier eras. In that moment, Burnett faced a public humiliation in front of Hollywood's elite, including Lucille Ball, Elizabeth Taylor, and other high-profile figures. Yet Burnett's response showcased her professional discipline and emotional intelligence. Without raising her voice, she countered, "Maybe people prefer laughing with someone real rather than with perfection." The statement, calm and precise, diffused the tension while subtly asserting her dignity and reinforcing the legitimacy of her comedic approach. Grant, frozen by the quiet authority Burnett radiated, could not escalate the encounter further. The press quickly reported the incident, and while some dismissed it as a minor spat, the episode left a lasting impression on Burnett and shaped how she approached interactions with colleagues who underestimated her. It reinforced her understanding that success alone was insufficient. Maintaining boundaries and demonstrating self-respect were essential in an industry rife with subtle power plays. At the same time, Burnett contended with systemic exclusion from Saturday Night Live, orchestrated by Lorne Michaels, the show's creator and producer. Despite Burnett's prominence, her name was repeatedly omitted from hosting opportunities. Insiders later revealed that Michaels viewed her warm, humanistic humor as incompatible with the edgier, politically charged comedy he was crafting. Even when network executives considered her for the second season, Michaels reportedly vetoed the idea, framing her style as belonging to old television. Over decades, This silent marginalization denied Burnett a platform that could have further amplified her influence. She bore the exclusion with grace, never publicly demanding recognition, but privately it was a poignant reminder of the fragility of influence and the subtle gatekeeping that shaped opportunities in Hollywood. Beyond public slights and professional obstacles, Burnett also navigated personal challenges that intersected with her work. The earlier betrayals by her husband Joe Hamilton, including his appropriation of creative projects and extramarital involvement, left enduring emotional scars. Burnett had learned to distinguish between affection and trust, understanding that even those closest could act out of self-interest. Her experiences with Corman, Hamilton, Brando, Grant, and Michaels collectively taught her a profound lesson. In entertainment, as in life, the capacity to protect oneself and to assert boundaries was as critical as talent or charisma. These cumulative trials also had an unexpected consequence. They fortified Burnett's discipline and sharpened her focus on creative integrity. Each confrontation reinforced the importance of professionalism, whether dealing with personal betrayal, public insult, or systemic exclusion. Burnett learned to assert her expectations clearly, to safeguard her creative contributions, and to act decisively when boundaries were crossed. The Studio 33 confrontation with Harvey Corman, for instance, became emblematic of her approach: firm, calm, and unwavering, yet devoid of unnecessary anger. Similarly, her careful avoidance of late-night calls or intrusive public engagements following Brando's unsolicited phone conversation reflected a strategic, self-protective mindset cultivated over years of experience. Ultimately, these hidden battles shaped the enduring legacy of Carol Burnett. They underscored that her career was not only a chronicle of laughter and acclaim, but also a testament to resilience, discernment, and moral courage. Her responses to adversity, measured, thoughtful, and principled, allowed her to preserve both her dignity and her creative voice. Audiences witnessed the joyful, vibrant persona on stage, unaware of the intricate web of interpersonal conflicts and challenges she managed behind the scenes. Burnett's story illuminates the reality that in the entertainment industry, brilliance must be coupled with vigilance, and kindness must coexist with strength. In reflecting on these experiences, Burnett emerged as a model of quiet authority and enduring influence. She demonstrated that one could navigate betrayal, exclusion, and public scrutiny while maintaining integrity and professionalism. Her approach to conflict, whether with colleagues, superiors, or peers, became a blueprint for sustaining a career and preserving one's creative legacy. Through these trials, Carol Burnett solidified her position not merely as a comedic icon, but as a figure of resilience, strategic acumen, and unwavering commitment to the art of performance. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, Carol Burnett had become an undeniable icon of American television. Her variety show had redefined comedy, blending wit, character-driven storytelling, and heartfelt moments that resonated with audiences nationwide. Yet, behind the glittering accolades and public adoration, Burnett's life was increasingly complicated by personal loss, professional tension, and the heavy responsibility of protecting her creative legacy. The victories she achieved came at significant cost, forcing her to navigate a delicate balance between professional ambition, personal dignity, and emotional resilience. One of the most painful chapters in Burnett's life was her deteriorating marriage to Joe Hamilton. Initially, their partnership had seemed perfect. Burnett's warmth and energy combined seamlessly with Hamilton's organizational acumen and industry experience. Together, they cultivated the Carol Burnett Show into a cultural phenomenon, earning multiple Emmy Awards and commanding immense influence in the entertainment world. However, as the pressures of the show mounted, cracks began to appear. Hamilton grew increasingly controlling over production decisions, insisting on pre-approval of guest lists and scripts, and even suggesting the removal of emotionally charged segments. Burnett, deeply committed to her vision of comedy that balanced humor with humanity, resisted, leading to frequent tensions behind scenes. The personal dimension of the strain was even more devastating. Rumors of Hamilton's extramarital involvement with a young CBS editor began circulating, leaving Burnett grappling with betrayal and heartbreak. She did not confront him immediately, yet the knowledge weighed heavily on her, undermining trust and reshaping her perception of their partnership. The situation escalated further when Burnett discovered that Hamilton had registered side project from the Carol Burnett show, including Mama's Family, under his own name, claiming creative ownership. For Burnett, whose identity and career were intimately tied to her work, this was a profound violation. She confronted Hamilton directly in his CBS office, maintaining composure while asking if he believed it fair to claim what they had built together as personal property. His cold dismissal, "This is business, Carol. It's not personal," marked a definitive turning point. In March of 1983, Burnett filed for divorce, setting in motion one of the most high-profile legal battles in Hollywood. Hamilton demanded full rights to the show's profits, while Burnett fought to retain ownership of her name and half of the revenue. The trial spanned nearly a year, attracting intense media scrutiny. Burnett approached the proceedings with remarkable composure, carefully navigating the public and private dimensions of the conflict. By June 1984, the court ruled in her favor. She retained rights to the show's title, while Hamilton received 40% of the profits. Though legally victorious, the divorce exacted a significant emotional toll, reinforcing the harsh realities of blending love, partnership, and professional ambition in a high-stakes industry. Beyond her personal battles, Burnett continued to confront professional obstacles. Lorne Michaels' exclusion of her from Saturday Night Live persisted, reflecting systemic biases and the clash between her empathetic, humanistic comedy and the edgier tone of emerging television trends. Meanwhile, incidents with individuals such as Marlon Brando and Cary Grant emphasized the importance of setting boundaries and maintaining self-respect in a world where influence and authority were often wielded without regard for personal space or dignity. Burnett learned to navigate these interactions with measured poise, reinforcing her resilience and ensuring her reputation remained intact. Despite the challenges, Burnett's career flourished. She won 3 consecutive Emmy Awards. Her show achieved record-breaking ratings, and she remained a beloved figure for millions. Yet these triumphs were always tempered by lessons learned in adversity. She recognized that success required not only talent, but also vigilance, discernment, and the ability to assert oneself when confronted with betrayal, disrespect, or systemic obstruction. Each confrontation shaped her understanding of trust, loyalty, and professional ethics, teaching her the value of maintaining integrity while protecting creative property and personal dignity. By the mid-1980s, Burnett had emerged as a figure defined not solely by comedic brilliance, but also by resilience, strategic intelligence, and emotional fortitude. She demonstrated that fame and success, while rewarding, carry responsibilities and risks that extend far beyond public perception. Her story serves as a testament to the complexities of life in the spotlight, the necessity of balancing creativity with pragmatism, warmth with boundaries, and ambition with self-preservation. For Carol Burnett, the laughter she brought to audiences was inseparable from the quiet strength she cultivated behind the scenes, a strength that allowed her to endure, adapt, and ultimately triumph in both her personal and professional life. Even as she continued to appear in select projects and public engagements, Burnett became increasingly selective, guarding her time, her energy, and her creative contributions. Her experiences with betrayal, exclusion, and professional politics informed every decision, allowing her to build a career that, while occasionally punctuated by conflict, remained a shining example of perseverance, dignity, and the enduring power of talent paired with resilience. Carol Burnett's career, spanning decades of television, stage, and film, is celebrated for the laughter, joy, and humanity she brought to millions of viewers. Yet, as her rare interviews later revealed, the path to such acclaim was paved with personal and professional challenges that tested her patience, judgment, and resilience. From betrayals by trusted colleagues to public humiliations and systemic exclusions, Burnett faced an array of obstacles that could have derailed a lesser performer. Her responses to these challenges, however, defined not only her career but also her enduring legacy. The tensions with Harvey Corman, once her closest on-screen partner, taught her the necessity of setting clear boundaries. The infamous Studio 33 incident illustrated that even strong professional bonds require mutual respect and accountability. Corman's outburst and Burnett's decisive yet composed intervention became emblematic of her ability to assert authority while maintaining dignity. Similarly, her experiences with Joe Hamilton, including betrayal and a protracted legal battle over creative ownership, reinforced the importance of protecting both personal and professional interests. Burnett emerged from these trials with a strengthened sense of agency, ensuring that her creative contributions remained recognized and respected. Encounters with figures such as Marlon Brando and Cary Grant underscored the delicate interplay between public image and personal boundaries. Brando's intrusive phone calls and Grant's public sarcasm tested Burnett's composure, yet she consistently responded with measured restraint, demonstrating emotional intelligence and strategic foresight. These experiences highlighted a critical truth for Burnett. Talent and kindness must be accompanied by vigilance and discernment in a competitive, often unpredictable industry. Her ability to navigate these challenges with grace and precision contributed to her reputation not just as a brilliant comedian, but as a professional of exceptional integrity. Burnett's exclusion from Saturday Night Live and other professional slights revealed the systemic challenges that even highly accomplished women could face in entertainment. Despite decades of public adoration and critical acclaim, she was repeatedly overlooked, a situation that sparked outrage among fans and highlighted broader issues of recognition and equity in the industry. Burnett's response, to maintain professionalism, protect her legacy, and allow her work to speak for itself, further cemented her status as a resilient and principled figure. Ultimately, the legacy of Carol Burnett is defined as much by her laughter as by her resilience. Her experiences illuminate the realities of life in the spotlight, where personal betrayal, professional envy, and systemic exclusion are constant risks. Through it all, Burnett maintained her dignity, nurtured her creative vision, and remained committed to delivering humor that was empathetic, intelligent, and deeply human. Even in her later years, Burnett chose her engagements carefully, safeguarding the image she had cultivated while continuing to inspire new generations. Her story serves as a powerful reminder that true success in entertainment, or any field, is not measured solely by public acclaim, but by the strength, integrity, and grace with which one navigates adversity. Carol Burnett's enduring influence reflects the triumph of talent tempered by resilience, the quiet power of kindness, and the wisdom born of a life lived with both joy and discernment.